What happens when the richest man alive doesn't just dip his toes into Hollywood, but buys the whole ocean? Jeff Bezos, a man who already conquered space and commerce, is now rewriting the rules of storytelling itself. With Amazon's billion-dollar push into movies and TV, he's no longer just a spectator, he's the producer pulling strings behind the curtain. But here's where it gets fascinating. This isn't just about power, it's about love. Because by his side is Lauren Sanchez, his fiancée, his partner, and maybe Hollywood's newest star in waiting. The whispers have already started. Is she about to step into one of the most legendary franchises ever made? Imagine it, millions watching, critics debating, fans dissecting every frame. And behind it all, the quiet hand of the man who built an empire from cardboard boxes and click-to-buy buttons. Is this business? Is it romance? Or is it the ultimate play to etch their names into history, not just as a couple, but as a cultural dynasty? This is no longer just Hollywood as we know it. This is Hollywood with $1 trillion backer, a love story at its core, and a power shift the industry may never recover from. The question isn't whether Bezos can make Lauren a star. The question is, who's going to stop him? To understand this story, we need to rewind to 2021. That's when Amazon shocked the world by announcing an $8.5 billion acquisition of MGM, one of Hollywood's oldest studios, the home of James Bond, Rocky, and countless classics. For Bezos, this wasn't just about expanding Amazon Prime Video's catalog. This was about control. This was about cementing Amazon as a Hollywood power player. At the time, Bezos framed the deal in the language of opportunity. He said, Amazon helps empower creators and storytellers of all backgrounds. But behind that corporate language, a different story was unfolding. One that intertwined business with something deeply personal. Enter Lauren Sanchez, Emmy-winning journalist, helicopter pilot, a woman who went from covering the news to making the news when her relationship with Jeff Bezos became public in 2019. Together, they've become one of the most visible power couples in the world, touring yachts in Europe, attending Met Galas, even venturing into space. But now, they might just be on the verge of entering another world entirely, the cinematic universe of James Bond. The Bond controversy. Few film franchises carry as much cultural weight as James Bond. Since 1962, Bond has defined sophistication, action, and style, and each new casting decision has sparked global conversation. But this time, the rumors were different. The whispers weren't about who would play Bond, but who might appear alongside him. Reports began circulating that Lauren Sanchez could land a role in an upcoming Bond project. Whether as a cameo, a supporting character, or something bigger, the idea was explosive. And the reactions, even more so. Fans took to Twitter, TikTok, Reddit. Memes exploded. Critics argued that this was nepotism in its purest form, the billionaire fiancé buying his way into one of cinema's most sacred franchises. For some, it wasn't just about Lauren. It was about what this moment symbolized, the slow but undeniable takeover of storytelling by billionaires. Because here's the uncomfortable truth, James Bond has always been about power. Global conspiracies, megalomaniac villains, plots of domination. And now, fans wondered if the real puppet master wasn't a fictional character, but a man sitting in a $500 million yacht off the coast of Spain. Love, power, and legacy. Let's not pretend this is just business. Bezos and Sanchez have become a story of power and romance woven together. Whether it's yacht tours off the Amalfi Coast, dazzling red carpet appearances, or Bezos inviting Lauren into the spotlight of his space company Blue Origin, their partnership is very public, very strategic, and very deliberate. Hollywood insiders whisper that Bezos has a heavy hand in decisions at MGM and Amazon Studios. Not in day-to-day scripts, but in shaping direction, approving projects, and nudging narratives. When you control the purse strings, you control the story. And if you're also in love with someone with Hollywood ambitions, the lines blur very quickly. So we have to ask, is this love? Or is this legacy control? Is Bezos giving Lauren a gift, or is he building a dynasty, ensuring her image, her presence, and her influence are immortalized on screen for generations to come? Hollywood takeover. This is bigger than Bond, much bigger. Under Jeff Bezos, Amazon Studios hasn't just dipped its toes into Hollywood, it's gone all in. From The Lord of the Rings of Power, the most expensive TV series ever made, with a jaw-dropping billion-dollar price tag, to original films pulling in stars like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Nicole Kidman, and Michael B. Jordan. Amazon's Rolodex now looks less like a streaming company and more like a who's who of Hollywood royalty. Think about it: Chris Pratt headlining The Tomorrow War, Al Pacino hunting Nazis in Hunters, Donald Glover creating groundbreaking projects, even Scarlett Johansson signing deals. But this isn't just business. This is disruption. Hollywood, for decades, was the playground of legacy studios Paramount, Warner Bros., Universal. Today, the new moguls aren't old-school producers in suits. They're Silicon Valley billionaires with limitless cash and an obsession with influence. Bezos with Amazon, Tim Cook with Apple TV+, Elon Musk openly teasing media acquisitions, Mark Zuckerberg reshaping cultural conversations through meta platforms. The line between tech and Hollywood isn't blurred anymore. It's erased. And here's the danger: when billionaires own the stage, the script, and the cameras, they aren't just telling stories. They're shaping entire generations. They decide who becomes a star, who gets silenced, which myths survive, and which ones die. And Jeff Bezos, with nearly $200 billion in his arsenal, he's not here to play small. He's betting big. Betting that Amazon doesn't just compete with Hollywood, it becomes Hollywood. Imagine a future where the next Tom Cruise, Zendaya, or Leonardo DiCaprio rises not through old studio systems, but directly through Bezos' empire. And if the whispers are true, if he's eyeing franchises like James Bond or even Marvel-level properties, then Amazon won't just be a player. It could become the most powerful force Hollywood has ever seen. Public backlash and nepotism. But here's the catch: audiences aren't stupid. The moment rumors of Lauren Sanchez's Bond role spread, backlash followed. Hashtags like Bond Nepo Baby trended. Commenters accused Bezos of using Hollywood as a vanity project. And critics argued that this wasn't just nepotism, it was plutocracy. Because people aren't just mad about casting. They're worried about what comes next. If billionaires can insert their partners into iconic roles, what else can they do? What other sacred cultural symbols might be rewritten in service of ego, power, or love? We've seen hints of this before. Billionaires buying newspapers, billionaires launching streaming platforms, billionaires shaping narratives about themselves. But Bond, that's different. Bond is myth. Bond is legacy. Bond is supposed to stand apart from politics and power games. And now, fans fear it's being absorbed into them. The Lauren Sanchez factor. To understand why this moment matters, you have to understand Lauren Sanchez herself. She's not a passive figure in Bezos' orbit. She's built her own career, from Emmy-winning journalist to helicopter pilot, to businesswoman, to philanthropist. She's ambitious, she's driven, and she's unapologetic about stepping into new arenas. But public perception is tricky. Some admire her reinvention. Others dismiss her as someone benefiting from Bezos' influence. And Hollywood, more than anywhere, magnifies that tension. If Sanchez does appear in a Bond film, will audiences see it as a symbol of her independence? Or will they see it as proof that even the biggest franchises aren't immune to billionaire manipulation? That question alone is why her rumored involvement has sparked so much conversation. Because it isn't just about her. It's about what her presence represents. Closing reflection and twist. So what do we make of all this? On one hand, Bezos has the right to invest, to shape, to create. On the other hand, when one man holds this much wealth and this much cultural influence, every decision carries a weight beyond himself. Hollywood has always been about illusion, glamour, power, the stories we tell about ourselves. But now, those stories may be shifting into the hands of billionaires, people whose lives are already beyond imagination. Lauren Sanchez's rumored Bond role may or may not happen. But the fact that it's even plausible reveals a deeper truth. Jeff Bezos isn't just buying studios. He's buying legacy. He's rewriting Hollywood's future quietly, strategically, relentlessly. And in the world of power, who tells the story controls the legacy. So the real question isn't whether Lauren Sanchez appears in a Bond movie. The real question is, what would you rewrite if you had $200 billion? This is just the beginning. Subscribe now and join us as we uncover the stories billionaires don't want you to see.